Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the ECM podcast. I'm Caroline Fontanieu, and I'm very happy to host this series that will take you behind the scenes of new music on ECM Records. In this new episode, I'm meeting over Zoom with Italian pianist, composer, and band leader Giovanni Guidi about his new ECM album, A New Day. We talked about his band members, the collaboration with Manfred Eicher as a producer, and what A New Day means to him. We're celebrating the release of your new ECM record, A New Day. My first question, I guess, is what's the feeling just when we release an album? Is it joy? Is it fear? Is it excitement? Is it sadness? I don't know. What's the feeling?
Every time is a very big joy, for me, but I think for everyone. But especially with ECM, because every time is a new chapter of my music, but also of my life. No, that's also why the title is A New Day. In the past, I did many records, but one of them is This Is the Day. Then it was Avec le temps, and then now A New Day. And every time is a different chapter of my life. And for many reasons, also outside of musical reason, this is a real new day of my life. Many things changed in a good way, in a bad way. And I can feel all these things inside the music of this album. And I have to say that, like every time, Manfred catch what was happening between the musician and what was happening also in my life. No, we didn't spoke, but he chose the title A New Day. While we were listening to this music, at the end, after the mix, he said, "This is a new day." And he said, "Manfred, as always, you have reason." So it's a very big joy for me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the collaboration with ECM, but I was reading that Manfred Eicher told you, think of this album as a new album, exactly, not the next album.
Yeah, because just at the beginning of the session while we were recording, was good, also very good, but it was again what we already did, in a different way, different tunes, but they say, this is a different session, a different season of his life, my life, our life, so let's go on. And from that point, from the afternoon, the music totally changed, and we went inside what you can hear now.
That's a good producer advice, though. It almost sounds like the band, it's not 4 people, it's 5 people.
Yeah, it's always like this. If we are 3, it's 4. If we are 5, it's 6. But maybe sometimes if we are 3, we are 10, because it can be many different people.
Yeah, but you're giving to the producer the space, the full space of a band member, if not more.
He takes the space. He doesn't. I don't need to give him the space, because from when he's inside the studio, he have his space. It's aura, no? And
absolutely.
You can't go against. But also because you don't need to go against.
You don't. Yeah, you don't have to.
That power. That's why I record with ECM. Also because it's the most important label, in my opinion, for jazz music now and from many times. Especially because of Manfred. Because the same music with Manfred inside the studio or with Manfred outside is totally different, but not a little bit, totally.
When it comes to the relationship with ECM, you started working with Manfred Eicher and with ECM through your band when you were working with Enrico Rava, right?
Yeah. I recorded my first album with ECM, with Enrico Rava. I don't remember when, but I was really young. It was Tribe, and it was a magic session because it gave me a lot of space, more space than the space that I usually had in the band when we played live. And after the session, he called me and says, "Okay, now you're ready for an album. trio. Now I tell you a secret, because he told me, but do you have a trio? I didn't have a trio. I said, yes, I have a trio. With who? With Thomas Morgan and João Lobo. Ah, great, I love that. And we planned the recording session. Yeah. Thomas before, I played with João before, but we never played trio.
That's what I was gonna say. You go way back with both of them.
Yeah.
At that point, I guess we can talk about brotherhood, right?
Yeah. We have a beautiful relationship.
What kind of dynamic does it make to play with people you know so well and who know you so well?
It depends. It's different. I can say that it's always better, because sometimes also can be boring to play with people that you know very, very well. And you know what? It's like when you go out to dinner with someone. No? If you are two, if you are three, sometimes you go with a very old friend, sometimes with the people that you just knew, sometimes with the people that you need some time, and you start speaking about one thing, and you see that the people that the person that is with you say, no, let's go in another way, let's speak about something else. It's like this, when, especially with my music, I write very, very simple music, but I write very simple music, especially because I want that the musician that play with me can put a lot of them inside what we will do, no? Especially if you are going to play with Thomas Morgan, that is bigger than every other musician I ever played with. If he plays with me, and if he plays with other musicians, can be different. But he needs a lot of space, a lot of different place where he can go inside, because we played from when we were child, but a little bit more than child. So we know each other very well.
It's super interesting, the dynamic, because also this is not a Giovanni Guidi quartet album. It's Giovanni Guidi, James Brandon Lewis, Thomas Morgan, João. Everyone is at the same level of importance.
Yeah. That's what I want, because
yeah,
I don't think that we need a Giovanni Guidi quartet album, but we need. I need an album with James Brandon Lewis, Thomas Morgan, and João Lobo at the same level, with my idea of music, with my composition. And there is a lot also of improvisation, as you can hear. Sometimes I lead this improvisation, sometimes I follow them.
Yeah, it's really a balanced band. Obviously, we're going to talk about James Brandon Lewis, but I had a last question about the trio, the rhythmic trio. Does it bring something to the dynamic of the trio, the fact that you're Italian, Joe is Portuguese, Thomas is American? Is the approach of the music different?
I never think about this, but probably yes. We are different people that lives in a totally different country, totally different place. So I don't know. Music is a universal language, especially jazz. I don't know. Probably it makes a difference, because I thought I play very different from American musician. I have a totally different tradition. Also, if I studied a lot, all the tradition of jazz music that is an American music, Afro-American music, But I'm Italian. Also, the tunes that I write, I can hear that are very different from tunes that American musicians write, in a bad way or in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, this is important for the music. We are different people that lives in very different places. So when we are together in the studio, in a different country that is not my country, not Joao's country, not Thomas and Jake's country, because we recorded in France with a German producer. So it's a very
international project.
Went in a very good way.
Yeah. And yet your titles are in English.
Yes. I don't know why. Also because when we are in the studio, it's easy to say, okay, let's play that tune in English. Everyone can understand what tune is it.
Interesting, yeah. So James Brandon Lewis is the new addition to your band. Yeah. How did you guys meet?
We met for a past record of mine that is a tribute to Gato Barbieri, unfortunately not on ECM. And we are very close friends for many reasons. From when we met, we spoke a lot, also during the pandemic, the phone, by mail. It's a real friendship between me and him. And so it was very natural when we planned this record with Manfred to say, okay, let's add James Brendel Lewis to the session. Manfred was very happy.
So that was a friendship
Real
first.
friendship was outside of the music. Usually when we speak, we never speak about music, me and James.
But the dynamic was easy, the four of you in the studio?
Very easy. I love his music. He loves my composition. Also, the music is totally different from what he does usually, in his project.
Absolutely.
But that's the beauty of the music.
I'm not surprised what you're saying about being friends first, because it sounds like you know each other very well, and there's something especially between you and James, that is so flowing and so easy in terms of dialogue. Like, you really give each other a lot of space, and there's something super familiar, super intimate.
Yeah, I can say it in a different way. It's a real friendship, and we are very close. And so the music is very easy. We never speak about music, as I told you before, but also in the studio. We didn't speak about it. He arrived, I sent him part of the tunes before, part of the tunes he read. But he plays in 4 tunes. So he arrived, he plays so beautiful. He knew exactly what I wanted from him, what I expected for him, and it was more than what I expected. As usual, as always, he played with him.
That's nice. And so that was recorded less than a year ago. It's a pretty fast process. It was recorded in August last year.
August, yeah. Sometimes you do a record, the record came out after 2 years. This time I'm still on the more or less different, but represent me also today.
And how was the recording session? What can you tell me about the memories you have from the studio?
The engineer is one of the best in the world. And with Manfred, every time is experience, a spiritual experience, a musical experience, human experience. Every time that I have to speak about this is difficult, because it's really difficult to explain what's happening in the studio between the musician, the engineer, and Manfred. From a moment to another, something happened, and we go together in a place that we didn't know before, and we stay there for 3 days. Then we stop and we come back to our life.
It's another planet. Because Avec le Temps, your previous album was also recorded at La Buissonne. Was it on the same piano?
Yeah, same piano, beautiful piano, Stanway. Yeah, and the other 2 albums that I did, we recorded in Lugano. That is a totally different experience, because we recorded in the same room without earphones. It's not a studio, it's an auditorium. But for this record, we decided with Manfred, with all the ECM stuff, to do this in the studio, because we needed that kind of approach that is different from the auditorium.
I want to talk a little bit about the repertoire.
Yeah.
How did you build it? Because there are 2 tracks that are not your originals, that I want to talk about. Are those 2 songs that are dear to your heart, the El Conde aux Cells and My Funny Valentine?
Yeah, My Funny Valentine is probably one of the tunes that I love more, because I played it thousands of times with Enrico Rava, and it's the first time that I recorded alone without him, and it's also a sort of a tribute to him. I didn't plan to play this tune before, but in the studio we started say, okay, let's play an improvisation, and from the first note I understood that I was gonna play My Funny Valentine. It's a very abstract version, but Thomas is a genius. He knows what I'm gonna play before then. So and we started, and we did just one version of the tune. Also, the other two with is more or less first takes, because when the take is good, we don't need not to do many takes. They can only be different, but if the first one is good, we go on.
Yeah.
The other tune that is not mine is Cant, the Cant of the Diocels, the Spanish traditional tunes that I played some months before in duo with a Spanish double bass player called Manuel Fortia. He proposed me to play that tune. I really loved it, and they say, okay, I needed this tune also on my record.
And the other ones, the originals, were composed for this album?
Yeah.
All of them was like specifically for this album?
There is a tune written by the four of us, but it's because it's an improvisation. And the other tunes were idea or simple melodies written for this album, for more than for this album, for these musicians.
Yeah. Do you want to share with me a little bit what kind of new day is starting in your life or in your career, if it's not too intimate, the question?
First of all, my father died a couple of years ago. It was very important for me because he was also a very important manager of jazz music in Italy. It was also my manager. And it was a very good thing, but also a very bad thing because he was always over me or behind me, And then when he died, I thought, now I'm lost. And I was lost for maybe 1 year. Then I was kind of the phoenix, I born again with a different life, with a new day. This is the main reason. And also, this record was recorded 1 year after the pandemic. That for a musician, for everyone was terrible, but for musician was very difficult to not play together, to not play live. So my life completely changed from 2019 to 2023, And now I'm happy. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Giovanni. It feels like it in this album. There's something extremely generous in the dynamic of sending things, like, let's go. There's this energy and the joy of sharing with your friends and colleagues on this recording that is extremely generous. And people will feel it for sure. Is there a way that you would like people to feel after they heard the album?
A very good question. No, probably my first wish is that people, after listening to the album, will be a little bit different, not totally different in their life. I don't expect this, but I hope that they feel themselves for some seconds a little bit different than before that they heard the news.
That's a good answer. Giovanni Guidi about his new ECM album, A New Day. Thank you for joining, choosing, and listening to our ECM podcast. I'm Caroline Fontanieu, and I look forward to sharing more music with you in the next episode.